Isn't it time we took a swing at our John Steinbeck? To take a closer look, so to speak, at our favorite, our everything American style. To touch the grapes of wrath, which have been hanging over capitalism to the east of Eden in the damned Pindostan for years. The Book of Mice and Men was shown in the cinema called Favorite. And even our director Balabanov noted it. And the US authorities will ban it, then not so much. If you haven't read it yet, good luck. Rare recommendations are complete without this story. 200 pages and your life will never be the same. And when after reading you are torn apart by indignation and yearning, come back, I will tell you what I think about it. Don't shed a tear, John, the story is made up. There is no life in it, and no goodness. And it is made up, to manage the herd. The submissive sheep will gnaw each other, skin and roast on a spit, pouring sauce over them. The master will only be left to lazily chew on a rack of lamb, rocking in a luxurious chair by the fireplace, washing it down with single malt whiskey. Or with pharmaceutical drops for obesity on Saturdays, as Kashrut probably dictates. But wait, what if the author is calling us to revolt? And it is no coincidence that the word Lenny is very similar to Lenin? The authorities constantly forbid children to read of Mice and Men, citing the propaganda of euthanasia, but in fact they are fighting communism, fearing mass unrest? Obviously, we can't live like this, but what to do? It is not clear. At any moment, they will tear the master to pieces. Okay, closer to the point, no need to call the mental hospital orderly. There are such huge iron things, called a caterpillar excavator. It can dig a hole and fall in itself, so that you can't dig it out. It can break a house. It can cripple and even kill. But in the right hands it's a miracle. That's what Lenny was, a huge fellow with the brains of a 6-year-old boy and the body of Hercules. Unningless and desperately unaware of meanness. His buddy George is the complete opposite. A nimble, dodgy guy. For 2 heads, 1 dream, a home. Lenny loves to pet mice and listen to how great they will settle down on their little ranch. But there are greedy, evil and vicious people around. Lenny gets into misfortune and George, so good and correct, decides to save his friend from possible suffering. He doesn't even think about helping him escape. After all, the owner will be upset. The author claims, smart people are rarely kind. And hundreds of commentators echo him, George's act is true kindness. George is smart and kind, my demigod, he did everything right. And stupid Lenny can be killed. Well done, Steinbeck, how cleverly he unsheathed the intelligence. No, smart people will guess to put a kennel for the dog in the yard and the old man will not betray her. Smart people will understand that the permissiveness of the master is based only on the servility of the peasants and will cultivate the will to resist. Smart people will build an excavator and learn to operate it. Everything will be fine. Smart people will not believe that Lenny stole a gun. Only George committed a serious crime, from a legal point of view, premeditated murder with aggravating circumstances, using the dependent position of the victim and stealing a gun for this. Lenny, at worst, committed manslaughter. The author keeps silent about what George will spend the rest of his life on. Let's assume that the plot is really realistic, as the commentators claim. What then? The best thing for George is the lot of Judas. Find a rope and a suitable tree. Otherwise, the police arrive and George will have to regret what he did, sitting by the toilet in a stinking prison. Let's assume divine intervention. The revolver misfired, Lenny is not injured and survived. In a fair trial, having examined all the details of the incident, the charge will most likely be dropped, including at the request of relatives. What was a married woman doing alone in the stable? Why did she put Lenny's hand on her own head, kneeling in front of him? Did she just ask him to stroke it? A woman should not hang around stables and barracks. If you want to jump on Big Lenny, jump, he will not tell anyone. Why tease? There is so much grief and necks are broken from this. Yes, Lenny will be locked up in a mental hospital, they will build a cage with rabbits there and he will be happy looking after them. You can't do mean things, leave the commandments to the priests. Humanism is first and foremost the common good, and Christian values part-time. The Bible is the same story of mice and men, only called by a different name. My beloved sheep, don't gnaw the master and you will go to heaven. But that's not certain. Stop shedding tears. We seem to have remembered director Balabanov here? Well, what if Danila Bagrov were in George's place? A completely different story. In this story, the grapes of wrath ripen and Johnny Dillinger is born. Even if Steinbeck does not call for a riot, he warns, where Lenny is killed, the commissars will come and you will have a dictatorship of the proletariat. Commissars are a calamity, an insurmountable evil. Strongly convinced people are extremely dangerous, because convictions are the enemy of truth. Convictions are like bedbugs, if they start, they will last a long time. Commissars will drink blood, breeding plague and death. Intelligence immediately will stay under the knife. Smart people create objects and meanings. They fly into space and pour oats into sacks. They won't let Lenny be killed because he's one of their own. And the commissars won't come. Pity has nothing to do with it. To thunderous applause and approving whistles, the Russian translation of John Steinbeck's novella of Mice and Men creaks into my personal top 55 books worthy of attention, ahead of Vladimir Bukovsky's And the Wind Returns in points. An honorable 55th place.